Hello guys, today I'm going to explain about the topic data serialization in Big Data Analytics. So those who are going to watch for the first time, please like, share and subscribe my channel guys. So let's go into the topic now. See what is meant by data serialization. So data serialization means it is the process of converting all the data objects present in the complex data structures into a byte stream. So we are converting all the different kinds of data objects which are very complex into a sequence of byte streams just for the storage and for the transfer of your data. So that is also on the physical devices. So once the serialized data is transmitted, the reverse process of again, if I am getting one serialized data, I can do the reverse engineering here. That means I can convert this my streaming data into the form of objects here. So that entire process is called as again deserialization. So we are having data serialization will be there and deserialization will be there. Usually this data serialization process, that means if any multiple languages are there means all that multiple, see usually if you take the big data analytics, we will get the data from the multiple sources, right? So all that multiple sources data are in the different formats. So we need to convert into one common format which can be understood by my client or the server. So that can be done usually by the Apache Avro. Avro is basically responsible for doing all these serialization tasks. So among those, first one is the data serialization and the second one is the data deserialization process will be done. So deserialization means it is nothing but converting the, that means we are going to do the reverse engineering of how to create the objects with the help of streaming data objects. So here, see, if you observe here, how many types of serialized formats are there? Means here, first one is the XML. We know what is meant by XML. So here in the XML, we are going to use all the user-defined tags only. We are going to use it here. So we can go for specifying all the user-defined tags and specific. Depending upon the data, we can use whatever the tag we want. It is not just like our HTML tags. So like that, I can use a JSON format data also. So that is the JavaScript object notation data formats. And third one is the BSON formats. That is the binary structure object notation format, which is faster than the JSON. And next one is the YAML. At another markup language. That is the full form of the YAML. And next one is the message pack. Message pack is one more format. And the last one is the protocol buffers. So all these are the different things where we are going to use it only for the data serialization process. Next one is, see, this is the exact graphical representation of the deserialization and the serialization process. So if you take any object here, these particular object, I am going to convert it into some stream of bytes here. So what is that stream of bytes? Where I am going to store? I am going to store it in a file or else in a database or else I can store it in a memory also. Again, whatever the data you are going to store in the form of stream of bytes, that bytes I am going to convert into the these file data I'm going to convert it into the stream of the bytes and then the stream of bytes into the objects. So from here this process is the deserialization process and from object to the bytes conversion it is nothing but the serialization process. So this is the diagrammatic representation of serialization and deserialization process. Next, see, this is the one which can be, if you observe the things here, we are having few personal data like a name, phone number, and the date of birth here. So how can we represent all this data in the JSON format? See, if you see, we are having some braces are there, quotations are there, and I can represent the data with the help of some commas. And this is the entire representation of in one line. I can represent my personal data in the JavaScript object notation. Right? This is the one format. They have given few other formats of YAML, XML, and JSON format. We know how we are going to write our XML format data. Usually, we will use the comma as the separators, and I can use the list of elements with the help of the braces, square brackets. And if any key value data pairs are there, that we are going to represent with the flower braces. So this is the entire representation of the JavaScript object notations. Next one is the YAML. What about this YAML? YAML is a very simple programming language and this is one of the easiest language where it can be understood by all the people usually. But here the thing is, if you observe clearly, see, I have not written any comma separators, or I have not written any square brackets or flower braces, nothing I have used. Whatever the data I'm having, simply I'm going to keep. But for each and every separators, I'm going to use the just blank spaces I am going to use to denote the level of nesting here. And next one is the XML. XML is basically, I told you, no, this is basically we are going to represent with the user defined tags. Specifically, whatever the tags I want. I want name tag, I want phone number tag, I want date of birth tag. Simply I can keep, and I can specify my data. So all these are the, both are the markup languages only. If you take YAML or XML, both are markup languages only again. So these are the few representations of the YAML, JSON and the XML. And a few applications are there about the data serialization, where serialization, it will allows the program to save the state of the object. Each and every object, it is having its own state. Like suppose if you take the arrays, how the arrays representation will be. So it can be in the format of it can be in the format of this one. We can use the empty arrays, or I can use the filled arrays, or I can use the one-dimensional arrays, or two-dimensional arrays, or three-dimensional arrays. But each and every object, it is having its own state, and representation will be there. But what are the applications where we can use this data serialization? So that we don't. So we'll see about. First one is the persisting the data onto the files. So we have to see that all the language, that means multiple language formatted data, I have to find out, and I have to myself, I should be able to store my data in the form of a persistence. What is meant by persistence? It is nothing but longevity should be there. So where we are going to store our data, in which format we are going to store, whether these formats are all neutral formats, or these are high-end formats, or else I am going to use any normal text files, or CSV files, or the XML files. So all this, most of the languages, they will allows only the serialized, that means only the formatted data will be allowed by almost all the languages, where we can convert directly our binary into the APIs, application programming interfaces, and storing the data into the databases. If you see again, we are going to store our data into the databases, and when the program objects are converted into the byte streams, we can store our data in the databases, and such as Java JDBC. So JDBC connectivities I can use, and I can store my data in the databases. And the third one is the transferring the data through the network. This is one of the important application here. Why? Because if you want to send any sort of data here, we need the network connectivity. So without the network connectivity, we can't send any data. So user is going to store lot of amount of the data, but we don't. If you want to send any sort of data, we need the network connectivity. We should have the client, and we should have the server. Then only we can pass all the objects from the client to the server. So last one is sharing the data in a distributed object model. How we are going to share our data in a distributed object model? So we are having few other web services are there, like SOAP and REST API. All these few applications are completely responsible for sharing the data using the DOM, that is the distributed object models. So these are the few applications of the data serialization. And in addition to that, we are having few risks are also there for the data serialization. So what are those risks means? We may allow the malicious party. So I'm having lot of serialized data streams are there. So like that means I'm having some public data will be there, private data will be there. But if you want to track that particular data, what I can do, I can go for I can go for that means wantedly or unwantedly, I may use any illegal data or any dangerous websites also I can click it. That means malicious and harmful things may enter into our system. So that means few risks are there due to this and data serialization process. I can say that all the websites are genuine and all the websites are legal here. Sometimes the few illegal websites also look like the same thing. So the cloned websites, many cloned websites are coming nowadays. So I can't keep all my private data as public here. I need to safeguard my data, right? So few risks are there in protecting the data in terms of security. And open formats too have the security issues. So that is the major things we are having. And XML data, it can be tampered very easily by using the schema files. And JSON data, it is also vulnerable to the attacks. So vulnerability means, suppose if you are having laptop or desktop is there, so you are going to share your password to everyone. If you are sharing your password to everyone means your system is open for attacks. Anyone can come and anyone can attack your system. Vulnerability means it is nothing but any system which is open for attack, that is called as vulnerability. Right? So your JSON data, it is vulnerable to the attacks whenever you are directly sending your data to the JavaScript engines. So that's why these are a few potential risks we are having due to the serialization process. Next, these are the few diagrammatic representation formats that which we are going to use. One is protocol buffers. We are having the Apache Avro is there, and YAML data is there, and the message packs, CSV formats, BSON formats, XML formats, and data serialization formats are also there. And next one is the serialization formats in the Hadoop. See, we have already discussed all these things like XML, CSV, YAML, JSON, BSON, message pack, thrift, protocol buffers, and Apache Avro. Thrift is the one of the new serialization format which we have not discussed. And text-based data serialization format is, suppose if you take any text-based like your XML, extensible markup language, we know that it is very human readable and we can edit it. It is completely schema-based and it is completely user-defined tags. So we are going to use, and it can provide lot of applications and services like web services. It can provide data transfer will be there, and web publishing also will be there with the help of XML, extensible markup languages. And in addition to that, we are having the CSV files are also there. So what about these CSV files means? This is the a table structure with delimiters and comma delimiters we are going to use. So this is also one of the human readable textual data will be there, where I can open as the spreadsheet or plain text. And CSV file is the most commonly used data file format. Usually this CSV file, it is the most commonly used file format which can be used by all the people nowadays. And it is very easy to read, easy to parse, and easy to export the data from the RDBMS table. So that is the reason most of the file formats will be of the CSV files, that is the comma separated value files. And it has three major drawbacks when we used for the HDFS. What are those three major drawbacks mean? CSV files, see, we can consider that CSV files as a records. So therefore, we should not include any sort of headers or the footers for your CSV files. No such type of things will be there for the CSV files. And CSV file is not stored in the HDFS with any metadata. So we are not storing any sort of metadata in the CSV file. And CSV file has very limited support for the schema evaluation. We can't change the schema. We can't edit the schema. We can't delete the schema. Such type of things are not allowed for the CSV files. If you want to add anything new means we have to add it at the end of the file. That's it. And it can't support many block compressions. That means we can't do the compression techniques on the CSV files also. Why? Because even if you are compressing, what will happen means while retrieving, you will not get the original data back again. So that is the three drawbacks that which we are having. And the next one is the JSON, that is the JavaScript object notation. We know about the JSON already. We have seen the format, how to write the JSON data and all. We are having the very short syntaxes will be there, textual format with limited data types. We are going to use it there. And it is very human readable and it is derived from the JavaScript data formats. And no need of a separate parser like XML. We don't have any separate parser like the XML. And since they map to the JavaScript objects, no direct support for the date data types. We don't have any support for the date data types. All the data is dynamically processed here, and it is in the text format that supports the metadata with data. So it fully supports the schema evaluation will be supported by the JSON data. We can easily add the data. We can easily remove the data. And however, because it's a text file, it doesn't support the block compressions. And we will see about the YAML. YAML is one of the data serialization language. We are going to use it, which is very human friendly and it works well with the other programming languages, right? And it is a superset of JSON. It is a superset of the JSON and it will support the complex data types and it is very easy to map to the native data structures. So that is about the YAML. The syntax is also very, very easy. We can write in our own way in whatever the data format we want. We can write it and we can do the all the processing on the data. And binary JSON. What is this binary JSON? This is a binary encoded serialization format of the documents will be there, where MongoDB uses the BSON when storing the documents in the collections. So MongoDB uses the BSON when storing the documents in the uh, collections, and it deals with attribute value pairs like JSON, and including the date, time, byte array, and the other types are not present in the JSON here. So we are having the attribute value pairs will be there, and one more important thing is it is very faster than the JSON. Why? Because the data is in the form of binary values like zeros and ones. And next one is the protocol buffers. Again, the protocol buffers, it is created by the Google actually, and Google it is going to use the natural language and the neutral platform extension things. It is going to use it for serializing all the structured kind of the data, and protocol buffers are currently supported by the generated code in the Java, Python, Objective C, and C++. Almost all the languages will be supported by the Python here. So if Google is supporting means it is having a lot of complex algorithms will be there here. And it is designed for the data to be transparently converted to the JSON data message pack. And this is about the message pack where it will support the rich data structures. And it is completely, we can create the schema based annotations also we can create, and the primary usage is completely we are going to do it based upon the say network communication only. So that is about the protocol buffers and as well as this one. And the last one is the Apache Avro. So Apache Avro is one of the language neutral data serialization system where again it is developed by the Doc Cutting, one of the scientists, and he is the father of the Hadoop. And it is also called as a schema based serialization techniques. We are going to use it, and Avro uses JSON format. Usually Apache Avro, it is going to use the JSON format to declare the data structures. It will support all types of languages. Like if you are going to write your data in the Java, C, C Sharp, Python, Ruby, whatever the format we are going to use, it will simply converts, and that is the role of the Apache Avro actually. So Avro will create the binary structure format that is both compressible and splittable, and hence it can be efficiently used as an input to the Hadoop MapReduce jobs. So Avro provides the rich data structures. It will provides the rich data structures here. So that's all guys. So I hope you like this video. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe my channel.